Today we will continue to learn the Maimer Chayav Inish Libsumi bePuria that the Rebbe said by the Purim Farbrengen of Tafshin Yud Ches 1958. This will be the third lesson on this Maimer. As we learned earlier, the Maimer begins with the obligation mentioned in the Gemara and in Shulchan Aruch that a person is obligated to drink on Purim until he gets to the state of La Yada, not knowing between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. And the Rebbe explained that in essence that's the entire miracle of Purim. The Purim miracle is that even in a place where one can't recognize the difference between Haman and Mordechai, it's Lasais Kirtzayin Ish Va'ish, the will of both Ish, Mordechai and Ish Haman are equal, and yet Hashem does what Mordechai wants. That Haman, on the very same tree which is 50 amas high, which means it reaches a place where according to Haman's calculations, which Haman's calculations were correct in essence, he's able to hang Mordechai there, but that the tree is transformed, that not only Mordechai doesn't get hung, but on the very same tree, Haman is hung on it. And that's why that's the obligation of Purim, is to reach a place where Haman remains cursed and Mordechai remains blessed, even in a space of La Yada, where a person is beyond knowledge and understanding. And so to explain this concept and idea, we begin by explaining what actually transformed the tree. As the Medrash says, that Hashem tells Haman, you were already preceded by Avram, the ancestor of the Jewish people, who planted a tree in Beersheba, which means that it was the tree of Avram, which eventually from this tree, the branches of it were taken to Mitzrayim and then planted, and from it came the cedar trees that Yaakov Avinu planted, from which the Mishkan was made. The krashim, the beams of the Mishkan, and specifically the middle pole that held the beams together, that corresponds to Yaakov, truth that goes from one end to another without any change whatsoever from one end to the other, and it was like a snake, and that snake transformed Mishayresh Nachash Yetzei Tzefa, which is Haman, that he came from the snake, the original snake that brought death into the world, that brought the original sin of Adam Arishain, and it was transformed into being rather a Mishkan, a place where Hashem's presence is revealed, and that therefore overcame the plot of Haman and transformed it into a holy thing. Now what is this tree of Avraham Avinu? This is the fact that in Gan Eden, which the Gan is the garden, that's a place where godliness can be revealed inside this world. Avram came into Gan Eden, he was Mashbiach, he made Gan Eden better, he brought something higher into Gan Eden, he brought from Eden itself, from the essence of Hashem, into the world, and that's the tree that he planted called the Eishel. So in order to explain this, the Rebbe begins to explain what was this Eishel of Avraham Avinu. The Eishel of Avraham Avinu was made up of 3 letters, Aleph, Shin, and Lamed. What's the idea of Aleph? Aleph is something about which it says in the Medrash that for 26 generations the Aleph was complaining to Hashem. Why is it that when you created the world you started with the base? Bereshis bara. Creation starts with a base. And Hashem said, don't worry. When it comes time to give the Torah, then I'll start with you with the letter Aleph, Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. Which in essence means the following. The world was only able to be created with the letter Beis because the letter Beis shows on Bria, creation, a creation that comes after a tzimtzum, after condensing and contracting the godly light, and therefore there being able to come a world which we can grasp and which we can relate to. The Aleph, which shows on the letter of Atzilus, Atzilus is the godliness that's above the world, which is beyond our grasp, which is beyond the grasp of the world, both physical and spiritual as we know it. We're not able to relate to it. And yet, we say that although for 26 generations there was a complaint by the Aleph, why can't I come into the world? When it came Matan Torah, Hashem now brought down with the word Anoichi, an Aleph, a level that's above the world. He brought it into the world. In a similar fashion to the way Avraham Avinu brought the Aleph, brought the Eden, the level which is above Gan Eden, he brought it into Gan Eden, he brought it into the world. And the question is, how's that possible? If the world isn't able to relate to, and the world isn't able to grasp that Aleph, and that's why Hashem created it with a base. The Torah that was given wasn't given to angels. The Torah was given down here to human beings. The Torah was given into this physical world. Moreover, the whole creation of the world, it says, Vayerev vayiboker yom hashishi. There was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. It doesn't say day 6. Yom hashishi, the sixth day, which the Medrash tells us refers to the 6th day of Sivan. The day that the Torah was given, because Hashem made the existence of the world conditional upon the acceptance of the Torah. Which means that the essence of the Torah is one with the essence of the world. If that's the case, then how is it possible that if the world isn't able to connect to the Aleph, because it's above the grasp of the world, how can then the Torah be given with an Aleph? The Torah is the ultimate perfection and the ultimate reality of the world, but how can it be something above the world? Similar to the question of how could Avram bring into Gan Eden something which is above Gan Eden, higher than Gan Eden. So in order to explain this, we explain what is an Aleph. Aleph is not just a letter, but we can understand what the Aleph is by knowing that everything in this world, its name, with which it's called in Lashon HaKodesh, is its essence, its life. Which means that the life of Aleph is the name Aleph. What does the name Aleph mean? Aleph, we see in the Pasuk, Alfech Chachma, Alfech Bina, I will teach you wisdom, I will teach you understanding. The word Aleph, the letter Aleph, is the concept of teaching. What does it mean to teach wisdom and to teach understanding? Meaning it's something that's above wisdom and above understanding. The Aleph is higher than both wisdom and understanding, and yet it's drawn down into wisdom and understanding. Meaning it's connected to wisdom, it's connected to understanding, but it's above them. It teaches them, it comes down into them. At the same time, the letters of Aleph are the same letters as Pele. Pele meaning a wonder. A wonder is something which is completely beyond, which negates the ability to have wisdom and understanding. The difference between a question and a wonder. Part of learning, part of intellectual pursuits, part of an intellectual exercise is that I have questions and I have answers. A question is an intellectual thing. I know something, I learned something, I understood something, and I have a question, and then I have an answer. But that's not what a wonder is. A wonder is something that's beyond understanding. It negates understanding. It negates the entire concept of intellect, both wisdom and understanding. Pele, the word for Aleph, Pele is a wonder. So although Alfech, teaching you wisdom and teaching you understanding, means something which is above wisdom and understanding, yet it relates to them. At the same time, we have this other concept of Aleph. It's Pele, meaning it's above wisdom and understanding. How do these two things go together? So let's come back down from our idea of the Aleph by trying to understand it, how it is in a human capacity. A human being is an intellectual creature, which means a human is made up of both intellect and emotion, but the essence of a human being that controls the person is his brain, his intellectual faculties. It's through intellect that a person has the ability to connect to that which is above him, and as a result, to control his life based on that. Emotions are based on intellect, but emotions is part of the person. Emotions don't control the person per se. They're a product and a fruit of the intellect, which is something that comes from above and controls the person. As a result, there's the emotions which then help the person understand how to deal with his life. But the emotions are a product of intellect. The intellect is wisdom and understanding. Wisdom is the flash of wisdom, the concept itself. Understanding is when the person processes it and makes it become part of him. Something which is above wisdom, above understanding, is above the intellectual faculties and hence above the person. But in the person there is an aspect which is really above the person. It comes from the essence of the person himself, and that's the faculty of ratzon, desire, will. A person's will is not a product of his intellect. In fact, it's not a product of anything. Why does a person want something? We know that the rule is ein tam l'ratzon. There is no reason why a person wants something. He wants something because he wants it. When I want to do something, when I want something, it's not because I understand why I want it. There's no way to explain why I want it. It's not a product of my intellect. It's the way it is. And yet, the will affects every part of the person, including his intellect. We see that when it comes time to study, ein adam loimed elam makim shaliba chafetz. Person can only study and understand if his heart wants to be in that place. The want is the thing that controls every aspect of the person. Now, what does it mean when we say ein tam l'ratzon? The simple meaning is that both there is no tam, there's no reason, but tam also means a taste, which means a taste is usually connected with a higher part of the person, which is the time and the pleasure of the person. A person has pleasure, that gives him a taste of why I taste. I have a geschmack. I have an excitement in a specific thing. Also can't be explained. It can't be explained in any way. Why am I excited about a specific thing? Why do I enjoy a specific thing? Just because. But yet, what can be said is that I enjoy it. Whereas when I want it, I want. There's no explanation whatsoever, which means ein tam, there's no explanation, and there's also no taste. Now that we understand this in a person, so again, in a person is usually controlled by his intellect. I understand something, I know something, that's why I feel, or that's why I do. Yet, there's a certain aspect in the person which is the very essence of the person. I want something. Why do I want it? Just because. The wanting can't be connected to any intellectual reason, and in a sense not even to a reason of taste. I want it just because I want it. And yet the Rebbe says a very interesting thing. That in reality, it's impossible to say that the ratzon, the fact that there's no tam for the ratzon, means also that there's no tam kamas, there's no hidden reason. Which means there's a hidden reason, or at least a hidden taste. A taste which is connected with pleasure of why I want something. And that's why we say that it's true outwardly. When I want something, it can't be explained in any way. But in the deeper sense of, in the essence of what causes me to want it, there's a pleasure, there's a tam, a gishmak, an excitement that makes me want a specific thing. And the proof is two ways. First of all, because if it's the will of a person, that means it connects to the person. The person means in some sense it connects to the person's faculties, so even if it's not outwardly to the intellectual faculties of the person, but at least it's the inner faculties of the person, which means his pleasure of why he wants that thing, because it's pleasurable for him. And secondly, you see clearly that even will changes. Now, if it would be just something which has no explanation whatsoever, how could it change? But it must be that the reason why the will changes is because eventually the hidden reason is revealed. And when the hidden reason is revealed, then it comes out as something which is changeable, because the hidden reason, meaning hidden reason, the hidden pleasure, but that's something which is definable and therefore changeable. If it would be just will, which it can't be defined whatsoever, it wouldn't be able to change. So this is how it is in a person. That in a person there's the concept of will, there's the concept of ratzon, which is something that's above intellect, above reason, above understanding, and yet it is something which has something that defines it, which is the pleasure of the person himself. That means the inner tam, the geshmak and the excitement that the person has. Now, once we get to that, now we can understand also how it is in the avodah of the person. Let's look how it is in a person's divine service. There's a concept of a person serving Hashem because of tam v'das, because of reason and understanding. As we would call it, yada. Person serves Hashem because it makes sense. He has knowledge. He knows that he has to. His mind tells him he has to. His feelings tell him. But that's a very defined way of serving Hashem, because sometimes I can know, sometimes I don't know, and if I'm serving Hashem because of my knowledge, it will be defined and limited to the amount and the extent that my knowledge and my appreciation are able to reach. The ultimate of serving Hashem is what we call Kabbalah Soil, accepting the yoke of Hashem, beyond knowledge, l'mayla mitam v'das, beyond understanding, just because Hashem said so. Because I'm Hashem's servant, because I'm a Jew who's connected and does what Hashem wants, and because Hashem told me to do it, that's why I do it. It's not something which comes only from my yada, from my understanding and comprehension. Now, we say that this serving of Hashem, which is above understanding and above comprehension, seemingly, that's the ultimate. I do it just because that's the way it is, and it doesn't relate whatsoever to intellect or feeling or anything at all. It's just simple action. But it must be that this serving Hashem in this manner has to also have what we called before a tam kamos, a hidden reason. Hidden reason means that there's some, even if it's not open, it's openly, I'm doing it because I'm supposed to, but deep inside there's a geshmak, there's a pleasure, there's a taste at least of the fact that I want to do it. Not just because of will, because I'm told to do it, but I want to do it, meaning I enjoy, I have some type of enjoyment in it. Why do I need that? Because otherwise it doesn't become internalized and it doesn't become part of me. Let's think of it in the simple sense. Imagine a person that says, I'm just serving Hashem because I'm supposed to, because I have to. It becomes robot-like movements. Robot-like movements which have no excitement in them whatsoever, which have no fire, which have no will and desire, they don't last. They don't last and they don't affect the person. They don't become part of the person. They're like abstract from the person. It doesn't become the person's reality. So yes, despite the fact that if I'm going to serve Hashem only to the extent that I want to the extent that I understand it, to the extent of my knowledge, then it's going to be very limited. But at the same time, when I serve Hashem above knowledge, because Hashem said so, there has to be an inner, deeper feeling and excitement in why I'm doing it. And in order to explain this, the Rebbe gives an example. We know that Ganva Pum Machtarta Rachmana Karya, a thief, even when he's breaking into a house, he calls out to Hashem and he says, Hashem, please help me. Which means in essence, he has an essential faith that he knows that Hashem can help him be successful, and it's up to Hashem whether he'll be successful or not. Yet, it's a faith which didn't really affect him, because if he let it affect him, if he thought about this faith for even a few moments, then he would say, wait 1 second, if it's Hashem who's helping me succeed, then why should I do something against what Hashem wants? Let me rather earn an honest living, and in that way I'm going to succeed in this while doing what Hashem wants, because if Hashem can help me do it when it's dishonest, He can certainly help me do it in the way He wants me to do it. But it's something which is only there. It's above understanding. He hasn't internalized it. Similarly over here with regards to the person, when the person deals only with ratzon, with will, which is above understanding, he doesn't connect it to the hidden understanding that there is in it, or at least the hidden gishmak that there is in it, it doesn't become part of the person. Whereas when the person enables and allows the hidden excitement that's there in it to also be revealed, to be expressed, then it's, for example, when it comes a special day and a person is inspired. He's inspired in a manner which is above understanding. He's inspired, he's excited. But when he allows that feeling to also affect him, then it becomes part of him, and it doesn't just remain on that special day, it comes out for all times as well. So it's able to continue on into the day-to-day life, into the regular day-to-day life. And that's the meaning of the tam, and the tam comes, the hidden reason that there is. And it's the same thing that we see in Kedusha. When it came to Ben Azai, he came up to the highest place, the holiest place, where he went above the world, but yet his soul wasn't able to come back in a normal manner into the confines of the physical world after he experienced such an uplifted feeling and understanding of godliness. Whereas Rabbi Akiva, he was nichnas b'shalim and yatsa b'shalim. Even when he went in, he did it with peace, which means even when he went to a level which is beyond understanding, where he experienced the greatest and essence of godliness, that even then nichnas, when he went in, it was in peace, which means he felt in it the hidden tam, the hidden taste that there is in it. He felt in it the ability to bring it back down. That's the Aleph, and that's what we're going to explain the Aleph, Mitzvah Hashem, next time, because Aleph is Ratzon. Aleph is Alfei Chachma, Alfei Bina, it's Pele, it's above Chachma, it's above wisdom and understanding. It's like Ratzon, it's the essence of the person, or the essence of godliness. And the Aleph, the concept of the Aleph is to bring that down into Chachma and Bina as well, which in that way it can be brought down through Matan Torah. That even though the world wasn't able to grasp the Aleph, but when the Torah is given in a way that the hidden reason is felt in it, so the Torah is given in a way that even the Aleph is able to be brought down and is able to be drawn down into the world and be revealed in the world, as we'll explain Be'ezus Hashem next time.